I just want to show you, so curtain management. And curtain management talks directly to ventilation. Remember, we need to have adequate ventilation inside our chicken house, right? Remember, these little chicks, they breathe in oxygen and they breathe out carbon dioxide. So we need to make sure that in as much as we are trying to contain the warmth, but we also need to let the bad gases out. And I'm talking about carbon dioxide, I'm talking about ammonia, I'm talking about carbon monoxide from the charcoal burners, right? All these bad gases, they need to go out and we need to allow oxygen to come in. So curtain management is when you are managing these curtains, right? You are managing them so that if it's too cold, you raise them up, right? And I'm just going to show you the correct way of doing it. So when it's hot, we lower them like this. So it depends. You will be looking at the chick behavior, and you also look at your thermometers. If you feel that it's getting too hot, you continue to lower them. And as you can see, there are these hooks, and you can actually hook them lower and lower, right? If you feel that the temperatures are now getting lower, you just come and you actually raise them up. So you hook them up like this, and you can hook them all the way, and you just leave a gap of about 15 or so centimeters to allow fresh air to get in. So the mistake that we have seen people doing is that for their curtain management, instead of lowering them down, up and down, they actually do it from here. So they put them up like this. And when you do that, you are allowing draft to come in. Draft is that air that then comes and it dilutes all the warmth that you've been trying to maintain. So the correct way is to move them up and down. And as you can see in this house, we've got what you call double curtaining. This will now allow to maintain the temperatures when the environment temperature has gone too low. So for example, let's say at night, when the environment temperatures go down, they will then raise these two curtains. You can see there's one inside and there's another one that is outside. And they can use both curtains. And if sometimes they can choose to lower one depending on the situation in their inside. So ventilation again is also another important. You need to know that ammonia accumulation, this is one gas that can affect the growth of your chicken. And when it accumulates, number one, it smells bad. Number two, it starts to cause harm to the eyes and also to the respiratory. So if you have ever got into your house and you hear a sneaking sound like krr, krr, in your chicken house, sometimes it's because so many gases have built up and now you have trapped them in and they are actually affecting the respiratory system of your birds. So ventilation is also very important, and if we don't get it right, it's going to affect the growth rate of our birds. If we go back a little bit to our feeding stages, remember on Profeeds there are two ways of feeding. The first one is what you call straight feeding. This is where you buy pelleted or crumbled feed and you go straight and feed your chickens. There are no additions. Or you can choose to go the concentrate way if you've got the maize and you buy the concentrates and then you mix with the maize. So at this farm, they are using straight feeds. And remember that from day 1 to day 14, that's the starter phase where you use starter crumbles. And so to day 3, they are still using starter crumbles. So, here we've got a sample of our starter. So this is a 21% protein and it is very nutritious. Starter is meant to give that growth that we're looking for in our chickens. And it also helps to develop the organs and the systems of the bird. I need you to take note that if your birds don't eat this feed very well, then when you go on to feed them grower and finisher, they will not do as much because they would have missed the important nutrients that are provided. So make sure that your brooder conditions are actually encouraging the chickens to eat this feed, as this is what they need for a better growth rate in the future. So from day 14 to day 21, we move to our grower crumbles, right? This is now a grower phase, which is 19% protein. And from 21 to 28 days, again, we move to grower pellets. But then now, these are pellets and bigger than the grower crumbles. And from day 28 until slaughter, some slaughter at 5 or 5.5 weeks, we now move to the finisher pellets. But like in this case, I can see that the birds, as you can see, all the feeders, they are occupied. And this is what we need to see. When we get into a chicken house, some chickens must be eating. Also remember then that there is also important, it is also very important to rest your birds, right? So we don't want you to be feeding them 24 hours a day for 5 weeks. You need also to give them a rest so that they can rest and digest that feed. So there are dark hours that we always recommend, and these can differ depending on your situation. But the most important thing is that your birds must get some time to rest so that they don't overgrow. Remember, when birds overgrow, we run into problems of flip overs because now the inside organs cannot sustain the bigger body. So do not overfeed so that your birds don't overgrow. And then when it comes to our water, we call it the first drink, which is for about 5 to 7 days, the first drink. And we recommend that you put a stress pack or a stress mix. This is just a mixture of minerals and vitamins that will help the birds and relieve the stress. Remember, they came here 3 days ago. They're still learning this environment, and the transportation from wherever they came from, we need to relieve them of that stress. Stress will cause the chickens to eat less. So we need to encourage them to eat, and so we put a stress mix to relieve them so that they can start eating. So make sure that the water has a stress mix for the first 7 days. So when we talk about water, we always talk about, number one, availability of water. So water must always be there. So I'm sure you can see those ladies as they are moving around, they're actually checking to see if there is a drinker that needs topping up, and they will be topping up. The same goes with the feed, right? So water has to be available. And we also talk more importantly about the quality of water. And I always tell you that if you get into your chicken house and you can't drink this water, it means that the water is not fit for the chickens. So you must be able to drink it. So we're talking about the quality of water. Remember, water can actually harbor so many bacteria and agents that can cause diseases. So keep your water clean and make it available for better growth. Okay, so just for you also, just to make sure that the chicks are eating, you can also do what we call a crop feel test, whereby you physically touch and feel the crop to tell whether the chick has been eating or drinking or doing both. So there is what we call a feed crop. This is whereby you touch the crop and it's feeling so hard and there is no water in there. This means that this chick has just been eating feed and it has not gone for a drink, right? And then sometimes you can have a soft, very soft crop, and this is a water crop. You can actually feel there is no feed in it, it's just water, and it means that this chick has been just drinking and it has not gone for any food, right? Sometimes you can go around and sometimes the crop is actually very empty and you can tell that there is neither feed nor water inside. And so what you just need to do is you can do a ratio and you can tell whether most chicks are just drinking. So probably on a very hot day, you are likely to find many of them with water because they are feeling hot and they are constantly going to drink. So you just need to adjust your temperatures, to adjust your ventilation. A nice feel of the crop is whereby it's soft, it's porridge-like feel. And this is where we've got feed and water both available in the crop. And the crop test, you can do it during the first 3 days or so, and you can actually tell. And if you find empty crops, you need to either increase the feeding space and make sure that the feeders are available, as well as that the